Genius, sometimes to kind of decipher. There was a measure that says that Adam sinned because he saw two and not three. What does that mean? Says the Vilna Gaon, very simple. It means this Mishnah. How does it mean this Mishnah? Come on, guys, tell me. I gave you 3/4 of the answer now.
The first two, but not the third.
No. Where did Adam come from? Did he come from Masali Sea? Heck no. He's Yitzir Kapov. Hashem fashioned with his own hands.
Right.
He didn't have that humbling experience of thinking, may I am Basa. Where did you come from? He didn't have. He only saw two things, not three. The Vilna Gaon, brilliantly says it's referring to this idea. But the bottom line is, the reason why he says three is because we need all three. The reason why it says three, because you need all three, because thinking about just where you come from, without where you're going, or vice versa, may not do the trick, you need all three. But let me go to the main crux, which is, why does it repeat itself? And the answer is, it's not repeating itself. There are two different conversations. First, we're talking to our soul, and then we're talking to our body. And it's two different approaches. See, in life, and there's all different philosophies, how does a person grow? Do you work on yourself by realizing how nothing you are, or do you talk about how great you can be? Is it do you humble yourself, or do you inspire yourself? And the truth is, we can sense that sometimes you need one or the other. In their Vardik, the very famous Musar yeshiva, they worked on really making themselves into nothing. It feels like they're really nothing. In fact, the famous joke is that this new student comes to the yeshiva, and after a year, he says, no, I really am nothing. I'm really nothing. So one of the guys said, excuse me, you're not a nothing. It takes 15 years to become a nothing. You're not a nothing yet, right? It takes a long time to become nothing, right? But
work in process.
It worked, right? So there's two approaches, and one is called speaking to the neshama, and one is called speaking to the body, to the soul. Say, do you know where you come from? You come from the Kisei HaKavod. Do you know who you are? You're created from God's throne of glory. Do you know where you're going? You're creating a transcendent world for yourself that you can accomplish, right? So the first conversation is to the soul, to lift us up, to inspire us, to say we can be great. Because look where we come from. We come from God's throne of glory. We're heading to the transcendent world we create. And then the second comes to the body. Body, don't get so full of yourself. You think you define this human being? You think the body make you important? You're kidding. Your body, you come from a seed. You're going to rot. You're going to rot in the ground. You're nothing. So to the body we address, we try to put the body in its place. We say, don't think life is about the physical. Really? It's all about the physical? We worship our body. Where did it come from? Where's it going? To the soul, just the opposite. We want to elevate the soul by saying, do you realize what greatness you possess? So there are two different conversations. All right? I want to go to one last teaching, and I'll see why they're connected. Rav Chananya ben Skana Kanem Omer. Rav Chananya Skana Kanem Omer. Pray for the welfare of the government. Because if there was not fear for the government, Ish Esre'eu Chayim below. A man could swallow up his friend alive. So pray for the welfare of the government, because without a strong government, there's no telling what people will do to each other. It's scary. In fact, the words are Ish. Now the word Ish means man. Usually there's different words. There's Ish, there's Enosh, there's Adam. Ish always represents the most civilized part of man. Ish Esre'ehu. A man will swallow up his friend, but not his enemy. His friend, Chayim, alive, bolo. When you chew some food and you chew it for a while, you get enjoyment. When you swallow, you barely get any joy. He said, I'm going to swallow you up alive, means there's almost no joy involved. But there's such a fierce competitiveness that we talked about the other week that sometimes we feel so threatened by everybody else, and we want to in this race to achieve and get ahead of somebody else. We want to push somebody down. Even our friends will swallow them alive if we would be kept in check by the fact that there's a strong government. There's if you do this, prison, do that, this, right? So you need a strong government. Otherwise, we see each other as competitors. I think I told you that last week, right? We talk about what's this? We're talking about why we all view each other as competitors on some level, right? Because you're taking away my spotlight, you're taking my spotlight. And I told you, I think that's why. One of the reasons at a funeral we say all the nice things about somebody. He's no longer a competitor. no longer benefit. Right? So then you're able to see all the good things, no, right? But the truth of the matter is that man could get so vicious. And not just vicious. I mean, the bottom line is without restraint, we tend to break through boundaries.
If I may,
Yeah.
there's a chicken and egg problem in terms of controlling our behavior and our attitude.
Right.
And that is, we have to have a certain amount of calmness within ourselves in order to control our behavior and
Right.
do the right thing.
Right.
So the question is, how do you get there? How do you learn to love yourself, respect yourself, and
Right.
maintain a sense of quietude and satisfaction, and not let the physical overcome you? That's the problem. That's really
Well, that's why I want to address that these two Mishnayos are addressing the same from different perspectives. One is based on an inside out, and one's based on an outside in, or internal and external. Bayes, the second teaching, is the B'diavad way, that it's imposed externally, right? You're afraid to get caught, the government's going to cut down on you, so it's imposed externally to keep us in check, so that we don't misbehave. What should happen is Mishnah number 1, which is that it's imposed internally. If you think about who you are, where you're coming and going, hopefully you refine yourself and have the ability to really do the right thing because of where you come from, where you're going to. So these two Mishnayos really reflect the two different ways that a person controls his behavior. One is external, which is imposed from the outside, the government, the police, whatever the case is. But really it should be imposed internally. That I, my own, should be self-motivated. I know where I'm coming, where I'm going. I'm not going to let my body take over, or I'm going to be inspired by my soul. It should be imposed internally. So Bayes is the external way of getting there, and Aleph is the internal. I left out that one point because I wanted to make this juxtaposition clear. But we said the three things. One is to know where you come from, where you're going, and before you're going to give a din v'cheshbon. A din v'cheshbon, the sages point out, they talk about what's a din? That's a judgment, and cheshbon is a calculation. What does that mean? Before whom you're going to give there will be a justification and a reckoning. It says in English. Din v'cheshbon are two different things. Din is what you've done wrong. That's true. Cheshbon is what you could have done during the times you did something wrong. In other words, there are when you did something wrong, you also wasted the opportunity to do something right. So there's two things that are being calculated. All the things that you've done wrong, but all that time that you could have been doing something to improve yourself, that you've missed those opportunities. So that's one way of explaining din v'cheshbon. There are other ways of explaining it as well, but there are two different things. There's a judgment and a calculation. There's a judgment on the actual actions, and there's a calculation of what you could have been. Two things. A, what I've done wrong, and B, what I could have done as well. We're not just held accountable for what we've done, but what we could have been as well. And that's the ultimate, I think I mentioned, when, we all know that before a child is born, an angel comes, teaches the entire concept of Torah. We've mentioned that many times. But I think I mentioned last week, I may have didn't, that when a person dies, he goes to heaven, the first person that greets him is that angel, the Torah of Torah. Because that angel is basically a reminder of all the potential that you had. And the question is, did you measure up to that potential? So the first greeting you get is that angel that taught you all the Torah. Because it's reminding, hey, I am what you could have been. Did you measure up? That's pretty scary. That's pretty scary. So it's not just what we did do, but what we could have done as well. And that's the din v'cheshbon that we have to realize. Not just what we did and didn't do, but what we could have been. But again, these two teachings are very important teachings. One is an internal motivation, and one is external. And having mispal b'shlom malchus, yes, we do need a government, strong government for the most part, because on our own, we lack that discipline. It has to be imposed from the outside. But in theory, it should be imposed inside. I do know that many years ago, maybe 30 years ago even, I think Bnei Brak, they've had a police force. They didn't need one. They were all Torah-abiding citizens. Nobody stole. I mean, they happen once in a while, but there's no need for a police force, right? It didn't need to be externally imposed. That's the ideal. That's what we want to get to that place, so to speak. That's what we want to get to. And the other thought is that it says Hamispal b'shlomo shel malchus. This is a kind of a side point. It means, when it says pray for the welfare of the government, means that it should be a strong government. But shlomo also means peace of the government, which means pray that the government is doing well, they're at peace. You know why? Because when things aren't going right, who gets blamed? The weatherman. We get blamed. We're in charge of the weather, right? By having mispalel b'shlomo shel malchus, pray also that the government has peace and prosperity. Because if it doesn't have peace and prosperity, who are the first scapegoats to get blamed for everything? It's the Jews. Having mispalel b'shlomo shel malchus doesn't mean for a strong government, but a government that's at peace with itself, that things are going well. Because when things aren't going well, it's the Jews' fault. History's repeated itself way too many times for us to delude ourselves saying that couldn't happen again. So Mispal B'Shlom Malchus has two ideas. Pray for the strong government, that because we need to have boundaries set because we can't do it ourselves. You know, we should do it ourselves. And also pray that there should be peace in the government. Because if there's a lot of friction in the government, there's a lot of things that are not going well in the country, and it's not prosperous, then we know the economy is blamed on the Jews, this is blamed on the Jews, and I said even the weather's blamed on the Jews. So certainly we have to be careful.
Our government is very weak, that's the
Rabbi, where does the Yirat Shamayim comes into this formula?
Which one?
Any one of them. I mean.
Oh, so you're right. The second one is not. The second one is external.
Okay.
The first one is, no, that's Yirat Shamayim. The first one of...
The third part of the first.
Yes, exactly. That's Yirat Shamayim.
You know,
And you are right, by the way. I want to point it out. It's a very good point. I'm sorry. That fear is just like fear of getting caught by the police, right? That's the greatest inhibitor. When you're afraid, right? That's right. At 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm waiting by a red light. If nobody's around, why am I waiting there? I'll be honest with you. The only way I think is I'm afraid I'm going to get caught. If I knew with absolute certainty that I wouldn't get caught, there's a really good chance I'm not waiting for that red light 3 o'clock in the
I
morning.
don't see you as a guy riding around in the middle of the night with driving worrying
Well,
about
unfortunately,
unfortunately,
I usually end up coming home at 3 o'clock in the morning when I go places. But the temptation is certainly there, and I would probably do if I didn't. But fear is a tremendous inhibitor. But what it should be is not externally imposed fear. It should be Yirat Shamayim. The greatest inhibitor should be Yirat Shamayim. Fear is an emotion that can arrest any emotion. I've used that example many times. When you can have this tremendous passion for something, this love, this lust, this says, you have to be with this woman, and you're running across the example he uses, there's a lake that's frozen, and you have all this time to be this woman, you're planning this whole time, and as you're running across the lake, the ice begins to buckle. At that moment, the fear, that lust is gone, because fear totally takes over and arrests every single emotion. So the external fear is the fear of the policeman. That's Mishnah Days. But Mishnah Aleph is should be internally Yirat Shamayim. That should be the one that arrests your emotions. Absolutely. Yes.
The trick is believing, understanding the depth of the concept of loving your neighbors yourself. Because if you care about others as much as you care about yourself, you'll almost automatically be guided to do the right thing.
Yes, that's a very good point.
And to internalize that, it's so simple, but it's hard.
It's a lifetime.
It's hard to get.
That's a lifetime. Absolutely. And by the way, well, get your question. That's very much true. That that the istakel, imagining those are the things that hopefully will create that Yirat Shamayim. When God is real, that's when you have that fear. If He's not real, then it's abstract. It's hard. Fear is really based on something real, right?
The reason I said that, the Kohanim with the Duchan, we say, Hashkifa min ha-shamayim u'barachat amecha Yisrael. The Kohanim ask God. The Hashkifa means gaze down.
Down.
Yeah, so that's more like general as opposed to stack.
Interesting. That's focus. It's interesting.
What about,
it could be. That makes perfect sense.
What about your conscience being God? You're watching yourself and saying your conscience is watching you.
Yes, well,
that's God's watching you.
Right. That's the internal.
God inside of you.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. If you know where you come from, and you know what stock you're made of, you have a soul. Why would you want to do that? Anything that would be injure that beautiful soul? Yes. You want to say something also? I'm sorry.
I have a question.
Yeah.
A separate question. Do I recall correctly that Chazal say that at the end of days, the one holiday we'll celebrate is Purim?
Yeah.
What about Yom Kippur?
It doesn't even mean. I don't think it means that those Yom Tov won't exist. It means they won't play. It won't be as central a role. They'll always exist. In fact, some learn that when it even says that when Mashiach comes, all the mitzvahs will become bottled. that will become null and void the mitzvos. It doesn't mean they'll become null and void. It means that they won't be mitzvot. They won't have to be directives that you've commanded to. You'll want to do it on your own. So
Okay.
I imagine Yom Kippur's, that whole still always exists. Of course, weren't role plays.
The reason I ask, Rabbi Foreman, in his Devar Torah for this week, draws a lot of parallels between the Yom Kippur in Achrei Mot and Purim, the story Megillat Esther.
Interesting. Well, we know Yom Kippur and Purim have some sort of relation. Yom Kippur, that we know, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, he always does that. He kind of, with the words, he's very, very clever about that. All right?
You missed something last week. Rabbi Teitelbaum said that
Lag BaOmer is next week, or is
Yeah,
that-
like was actually, I'm not sure
the
be next week.
children
I have to
of-
find out.
So it's is it Thursday
Aaron
or
when they
Thursday?
died,
It's Wednesday night, Thursday. I have to see.
Itamar
Two
and
weeks Wednesday night. I'll double check. All right?
Shabbat shalom. Thank you.
Elazar.
No.
Thanks,
Good
Rob.
Shabbos, good
No,
Shabbos,
no,
everyone.
no,
Shabbos,
no,
Shabbos.
Nadav and Abihu. They died not only because, like, why would they do this, right? Because they saw themselves in future time
Have a good
where
week.
there is
You
no
too.
fear of Hashem and everything is ahava. And that's where there should be ahava versus fear of Hashem at the same time together as a balance. So they
Right.
saw a future of coming Mashiach where there is only ahava, there is no fear of Hashem.
Yeah, but